Dr. B, thanks for joining the show.
My total pleasure, Jesus. It's good to see you.
Yes, it's great to see you too. Now, how's the weather where you're at? Where are you at, by the way?
I'm in Oakland, California, not that far from you, I guess, unless I
No,
know.
I'm in San
No,
Jose.
yeah. Well, it started out real cold this morning. I went for my morning walk and coffee. It was really cold, but now it's really warmed up.
Yesterday was colder.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 40. Yeah, like
Whoa.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe
It's
maybe
cold.
not as cold. Now, is this your virtual background or is
No,
that your real background?
no, dude. Everything about me is real. There's nothing virtual about me. Okay. So this is we're sitting in my office slash study, and pre-COVID, I would meet people here for individual sessions, and so
Ah,
I'm comfortable in this room, and it makes for a nice background.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
mine's a virtual background. It's funny because ever since I've been using this virtual background, people have been thinking that it's my empty office during COVID-19. So
Yeah, well,
I'm like, I'm the only employee coming into the office, guys.
yeah, well, there you go. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a few handpicked questions for you.
Go right
And,
ahead.
your short bio was quite interesting. And I wanted to ask you what inspired you to choose a career in psychology with a focus on top performance?
Well, when I was a child, I was a very prodigious piano player. I started playing at the age of 6, and very quickly, it was clear to my teacher and my mother, particularly, that I had a very natural talent that was um, on the extraordinary side in terms of my sensitivity to music and ability to communicate that through playing. So their agenda was to get me pretty quickly to recitals and competitions and to national auditions, which was totally not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to play the piano, make
Mm,
music. And so I did all these things as a dutiful child, but it was completely nerve wracking. I would get so nervous before the event, a week or 2 weeks before. By the time I had to sit down on
yeah.
stage at a piano, my hands and knees would shake. You cannot play the piano with any sensitivity if your hands and knees are shaking. It's just not possible. So it
Yeah.
was a real deal nightmare, and nobody helped me with it. It was all like, "What's the matter with you?" or um, "It's all in your head," or "You'll grow out of it." Those are
It's almost like butterflies.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what kind of butterflies?
Nervous.
Yeah,
Nervousness.
right. Yeah, it's more. It was way more than that. It was butterflies that wanted to eat me up. I mean, it was like, whoa, it was just torture.
Mm,
By the time I was 14, and nobody helped me with it, as I said, by the time I
right.
was 14, I just stopped, and I actually stayed away from the piano for, I'd say at least 25 years. I didn't touch it,
And was it
and
because it was traumatizing, like the
yeah,
experience?
totally. Oh yeah,
Mm,
totally. It's everything. When as you're growing, things get the professional was cathected. They all kind of things get meshed together. So playing the piano was associated then with the trauma of performing.
mhm.
Um, I have a natural inclination to be very interested in people and to listen very well, and be a problem solver. So this all sort of kind of came together
Yeah.
with the possibility that I could be a psychologist. And my father was a psychologist, quite a prominent one actually. Um, and I'm sure there was something in that too, as a way of getting close to my father, which I never did when he was actually alive.
Mm,
So, I mean, there's a multiplicity of things. However, as a performance psychologist, I really did a deep dive into what was going on with me when I was, had to cross the threshold into a recital hall or to a national competition or something like that. And that just quickly developed into being very interested in performers. I have
right.
quite a theater background from my family, professional theater, community theater. So I started to really study like what is happening when a person is on one side of a threshold and then they go to the other. And then this led to other kind of performers, athletes, speech makers,
Mhm.
but even to dentists and people in high stress, high performance occupations. So
Right.
that's what I do. I work mostly with people who are in high stress, high performance occupations. Everyone from lawyers and dentists, surgeons to students who freak out when they have to take the ACT or the SAT.
Interesting.
And I developed a performance model, a training model that basically trains people to be calm and confident and focused when they have to perform. And that's a three-legged stool that is very sturdy. When you're calm, confident, and focused, your body, mind, and spirit, you are good to go for performance. And so it's about awareness when you're losing it and then building the tools.
I like that you had the experience, and you mentioned something that was key is a lot of people don't help you through it, right?
That's
It's
right.
more like get your act together, or
Exactly.
you're just losing it. Like you're gonna be okay, right?
So sounds like that you may have had some personal experience with this,
I
Jesus.
think everyone has had personal experience with
I
it,
think
right?
you're right.
Like when you
I
go
think
through a
you're right.
lot of stress, pain, whatever, it's
Yeah.
easy to be
Hmm.
like, just take another drink, a beer,
Yeah.
a wine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's fine.
Escape.
It
Yeah.
yeah, and
Uh-huh.
it's a way to like. It seems very comforting to calm them in the moment, but it doesn't address
Right.
the root issue, right? So,
Well,
or
not only yeah, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Not only that, but then you start to associate, feeling better and calming down with the drink, with, whatever your becoming addiction of choice is, and then you need
Right,
more of that more frequently, and it gets less effective. It starts to spiral in
right.
a terrible way. Yeah.
And it ends up. I love talking about this stuff, emotions, right? Because it ends up
Okay.
being like a coping thing, strategy,
Oh yeah,
where when you mention addiction, right? It's easy to be like if you always have outlets to, let's say, drinking, right?
that's right. Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
that's your go-to, right, to handle it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't
Yeah.
really help you to have real coping strategies on how to do it in a healthy way, right? Which you're right, a lot of
Oh.
people don't teach things
Oh
like
right.
that, right? Especially for top performance, because entrepreneurs that tune into the show from time to time listen to this, and we're all top performers,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
we feel stress, anxiety, worry,
Yeah.
insecurities on a
Yeah. Yeah.
daily basis.
Correct.
We wake up stressed. We can't even fall asleep because we're just thinking about our business in the morning, at
Right.
night, all night long, right? Things we should
Hmm.
have done, things we could have done, things we should have said, like all
Right.
these things, right? Um, Fear of failing is huge for entrepreneurs, right?
Hmm.
And you
Sure.
mentioned also even from school. I kind of wish I was taught these things at a very early age, because what we're taught as men, as you know, is don't show weakness,
Yeah.
be strong,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But being strong doesn't mean just shut up. Right?
No, no. In fact, I'm glad you bring it up that way because to me, being strong means being able to face and deal with the challenges that come your way
Mm,
without resorting to escape routes.
right.
Alcohol, pornography, gambling, shopping, eating are all escape routes. I mean, you want to quell feeling of stress, but I want to emphasize something here, which is I have a very different definition of stress than I've seen. And
Hmm.
so when I ask people what's stress, the answers that I get are stress is my kids, stress is my wife, stress is COVID, stress is my business, the government. So what's similar about all that? It's all pointing the finger, right? So that's like if my
Mm,
kids would change, if my wife would change, if the government would go away, if COVID would end.
circumstantial.
Yeah, wait, yeah, it's all circumstances outside of you. And it's suggesting if all that changed, my life would really work. Okay, what's the
Good luck.
problem with that? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Good luck. So let's stay with this.
Yeah.
Stress is not what's happening outside of you. It's how you're reacting to the outside events.
Mm,
Okay. And what I say is stress, what you're feeling, stress, is a function of disconnection. When you disconnect in the body, the mind, or the spirit. That's the totality of who we are. When you disconnect in one, two, or three of these, you're going to feel stress. Can I give you a really simple example?
yeah, please,
Okay.
please.
So I coach a lot of kids who have trouble taking tests. They're smart. They prepare. I'm just getting a little prop here. They're smart. They prepare. They are, um, they're good students. But they go in and take a test, and they stress out, freak out.
Sure.
So kids come to my office, and I show them this, and they say, yeah, tests freak me out. So I said, wait a minute, pause here for a second. So you're telling me that this piece of paper is sitting on the desk, and somehow this paper is jumping off the desk, choking you? Is that what's happening? And they go look at me like, no, Dr. B. So I said, well, it's not the test that's freaking you out. It's your reaction when you see this.
Right.
Now, if you take that one step further, I think the example is helpful actually, because it's a different definition. Take it one step further. The kid sits down to take the test. Okay, the teacher says, "Here, gives the kid the test. Say, begin the test." Now, watch carefully. The student opens up the test booklet and goes, oh, "Okay, Jesus, what did you just observe?
Shock.
What did you see?" Yeah, that's true. Hang on, but I want you to watch again, and it's something really simple. I'm holding my breath.
Mm.
When you hold your breath, the message your brain is getting is that you're dying. That's the disconnection right there. Is your stress going up or going down? It's going up. Why are kids so exhausted at the end of 3 hours? Because they keep holding their breath. I've trained students to raise SAT scores 200 points, ACT scores 3 composite, just by regularizing their breath in a routine throughout the course of the whole test.
Interesting.
They stay connected, right?
Yeah.
So the issue with stress is that you have to be in the present and not try to escape it with one of these escape routes, which never really work over time because they just get worse and worse. And I have to
Right.
say that, in terms of you and listeners, I know what I'm talking about here. And this is another point you brought up earlier, because I had 2 very powerful addictions for years. And I'm 37 years in recovery from those 2 addictions.
Mm.
So I know the grab that they have on people. And just going back to an earlier point, my sense is I had to go through everything I had to go through, actually, so that I could help other people not have to go through that.
Yeah, it makes
Okay.
sense.
So our experience, my belief is that we all go through our lives ultimately so that we can help other people.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I have another question for you. Is so I agree with you that kids stress out, young adults stress out when it comes to tests.
Yeah.
It's funny because to me, it's a lot of human behavior too in psychology. Like this
Yeah.
also
Sure.
applies for the 50 or 60-year-old
Oh,
entrepreneur.
sure. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So not just focused on kids only, but why do you think young adults or kids stress out when it comes to tests if they know what's coming? Why do you
Well,
think
they
it's
well, yeah, go ahead.
that was my
They,
question.
well, they don't really know what's coming. I mean, they prepare by studying the study guide or something like
I
this. And I
see.
do want to bring back in the business people because I know in terms of your audience,
Yeah, yeah. I
they
think this
prepare.
applies to the business people
Oh,
though
of
too.
course, it applies to everybody. They
Yeah.
prepare, but they don't know what's going to happen. When they open the test booklet.
Mm,
So I'll give you, a good example for tests is that a student sees an item on a test that they've never seen before,
mm.
and they disconnect. They say, and this is in the mind now. They say, "I don't know what to do." It's like negative self statement. That's the
Yeah.
mind. I don't know what to do. I can't figure this out.
Mm,
Right? Not realizing that an item on a test that you're being given has to relate to something that you learned. So the test is actually, can you connect what you're reading on the page to what you already know? But once you start disconnecting with it, I can't, I don't, I'm not, you stop reading, your focus goes all over the place. Remember, mind,
yeah.
body, spirit, calm, confident, and focused, you've lost it. Okay? Now, in the business world, I'll give you, now, here's an example that comes to mind. You get a call on your phone, and you, with the phone ID, you see the name of somebody who you're really not looking forward to talking with.
Mhm.
Okay, happens a lot, right?
Mhm.
A creditor, a customer, a business partner, your spouse, whatever. Okay, the tendency is to shut down.
Mm.
Oh, tense up, shut down. Oh my God, I don't know. I really don't want this call, blah, blah, blah. But you see that you're already disconnecting. The call is coming in. Better to say, I'm just not going to answer it right now.
Mm.
But the best thing to do is you see the name, and instead of tensing up and going into all this negativity and getting distracted, you need to have tools to get yourself calm,
Mhm.
to regain your own confidence, and to stay focused on what needs to be said in the conversation. It's always those three things: calm, confident, and focus. Look, this is the model here: three-legged stool.
Nice. I
Calm,
love it.
confident, and focused. Body, mind, and spirit. When these three are all equally strong, this is a very sturdy platform. Elephants stand on this at the circus. But when one leg starts to go,
Yeah.
the whole thing gets tipsy. I did this with a fourth grade class once, and I said to the kids, "So what happens if one leg gets short?" And there was a silence, and one kid from the back says, "You fall on your ass." Like that. That's exactly what happens. God bless it. And you nailed it, because if we learn this stuff from second grade on, what
Mm.
a world this would be. But we're teaching tons of stuff that really doesn't really fully relate to life.
Yes.
This relates to life. When parents bring their kids to me, I tell them, look, I want you to get higher test scores, but that's not why I do this work. I do this work so you're going to have life tools,
Mm.
right? When a business executive comes to me and needs coaching as in a fix, I say, you need these tools for all your life, not just in the office, as a parent, as a spouse, as a whatever. Okay. These are
It's
life
true.
tools. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about, you know, focus on top performance.
Yes.
Another question I wanted to ask you is in helping people achieve top performance,
Yeah.
why is stress specifically your main focus?
Oh, this is a great
And
question. Well,
and
the
you probably
reason why.
touched a little bit on it.
No, not actually, not yet. So it's a great question. So there's a scientific proven relationship between stress and performance. Proven. It was first studied in the early 1900s, at the rise of the Industrial Revolution, when
Mhm.
production output was very important, but stressors that were new kept coming in, right? Assembly lines, all kinds of different things. So two scientists named Yerkes and Dodson did the first study of how they actually studied how arousal affects performance, and we've
Mm.
we've opened up arousal till stress, anxiety, those kinds of things. So it's a bell curve. It's a bell curve, right? Too little stress, performance goes down. Too much stress, performance goes down. But right in the middle is the optimal amount of stress produces optimal performance. You have performance and you have stress, right?
Mhm.
So here's the curve. Right in the middle is that optimal amount of stress. You need an optimal amount of stress to perform at your best.
Hmm.
There's no such thing as no stress, but an optimal amount gets you to perform at your best. This is
Interesting.
proven over and over and over again worldwide. It's a human phenomenon. So what I do in my work is I train people to recognize when they're losing it in body, mind, or spirit, when they're losing their calm or their confidence and focus, to become aware, what are those signs? Then they learn tools. And there are only 9 tools: 3 for being calm, 3 for being confident, 3 for being focused, to get you in the middle. The middle is what athletes call the zone. So when
I love
athletes
it.
talk about, yeah, when athletes talk
Yeah.
about it, though, they say things like this. They say, oh, wow, man, I got in the zone last night. And it sounds mystical, magical, sort of like it came upon. I am here to tell you, 40 years as a psychologist, it's not mystical, it's not magical. It's a state of deepening consciousness of being in the present.
Right. And it's good that you mentioned there has to be a little bit of stress to
Oh
perform
yeah.
at your peak, right?
Oh
And
totally.
it's interesting because a lot of people don't want any stress. I need a massage. I need to do this. I need a vacation. I need to just get rid of it all, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of them aren't managing their stress very well, right? But it's funny because it's easy to view, for all of us to view stress as, or most people to view stress as, it's negative emotion, reject it, right? Get it out of your
Right.
system ASAP.
Right. Yeah.
But little stress is not bad. Like if I see a car coming at me, that's a healthy stress. Like
Yeah.
I should move out
So
of the way, right?
yeah. Well, sure. Well, there's a few things about what you're saying. First of all, I was on an airplane once, and the guy next to me, we were talking about what we do. What do you do? What do you do? I said, I'm stress. I call the stress doctor. So he said, oh yeah, he said the absence of stress is death. So I looked at him and said, how do you know? Right. So I mean, what,
Yeah.
so no, because why is that? Remember, it's really important to remember the definition that I'm using that I created. Stress is a function of disconnection. We're always disconnecting in one way or the other. So we always feel a little bit of
Hmm.
that tension, that stress, right?
Hmm.
The key, and this is where the saints and the sages and the yogis and all the most advanced beings throughout history, this is where they live. They live in that state
Right.
of presence, calmness, peacefulness, equanimity, equipoise. That's where they live. We all aspire to that.
Mm.
Okay. Now, I just want to say one other thing. I never ever talk about managing stress because that sounds like you've got some big gorilla on your back that you have to manage. No, we want to reduce your stress level. So the idea even that you could be without stress, impossible. That you could lower your stress, yes, but that's not going to come because you get on a plane and go to Bali. It's going to come
Right.
because you get on a plane and go to Bali and you start to calm down and your mind is not cluttered and
Mm.
your focus is not all over the place. It's not Bali that's doing that. It's your response to the environment.
Mm. I like that. I like that.
Good. I hope your stress is reducing right now, Jesus.
No, you're making a lot of good connections, and I love the way
Yeah.
you're explaining it. Even like with top performance being a focus,
Sure.
stress being
Sure.
your main focus. I
Yeah.
wanted to touch a little bit about. Oh, and by the way, when you mentioned for business,
Yeah.
this all applies to entrepreneurs, even marketing
Oh yeah.
professionals
Oh sure.
that are listening
Sure.
to the podcast too. And what's funny is you mentioned something that when something shocks us, right? Or
Yes.
we feel insecure because we didn't know this answer
It's
on the test.
unexpected. Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it makes me
Yeah.
feel, I don't know. I'm insecure. I don't know the answer. I don't
Right.
feel confident. I'm going to move on.
Right.
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 That's
Right.
what
Right.
goes through my mind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you mentioned something, that client, that, team member, that
Yeah.
spouse,
Uh-huh.
that
Right.
who calls you, right? And you just kind of disconnect, like cringe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
what comes with that on the, on a any relationship from
Yeah.
teens all the way to close to retirement, what comes with
Sure.
that avoidance is the fear of hurt and rejection, right?
Hmm. Sure. Yeah.
Because that's what makes it like, you know what, no, I'm gonna avoid because I feel
Right.
safe
Yeah.
and I don't want to get hurt, because it was all because
Yeah.
trauma, past experiences, right? At
Well,
some
that
point,
right. Right.
that relationship hurt you.
Well, you say
And
a fear and yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
This
you
is
say fear and rejection. I would add confrontation to that.
conflict.
Right, the
Mm.
conflict and confrontation. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
exactly.
we get afraid. This is the fight or flight mechanism, that we get afraid that we're somehow going to we're either going to get eaten or we have to eat. We either
Mm.
are going to get attacked or we have to attack. Rather than, you know what, Jesus, you could have a very different point of view than mine. I have a very different point of view than yours. And you know what? If we really put our hearts and minds to it, we could find a good solution between us.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
One of the real, I think, unhappy tragedies of our situation in the US right now is the polarization of people, of people who just cannot talk to each other,
Yeah,
don't trust each other, don't respect each other. That's
it's sad.
not a human
It's sad.
condition. It's terribly sad. The human condition is really that we're all here as members of one community, one world, one community.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have different colors, we have different religions, we have different genders, but difference is what makes the one.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
there's the disconnect right there. When you disconnect from the one, right, from we,
Hmm.
and you're just I, then you're creating issues right
Right.
right then.
Now, what kind of, I guess, business or professionals like entrepreneurs that you've been seeing through this pandemic? Because
Yeah.
I'm sure you're seeing it a whole spectrum.
Yes. Yes, I am. Small business owners to CEOs, much larger organizations, who themselves are feeling stressed, but
Hmm.
they also realize that they have, you know, people and systems under their purview that have to be addressed.
Mm.
So, but this is really true, for a small business owner too. I mean, yourself, you have a family, you have a
Right.
wife, you have a kid. You're always serving other people.
Right.
Whether it's you with a small circle or a CEO with a very large circle, what the point I make working with people is we call it personality, but your mode of being is going to parlay itself right through the whole organization.
Mm.
So why not really cultivate being calm and confident and focused,
Right.
right? You need a mission, you need a vision, you need values. This is a new uh, associate of mine, Nancy Steiger, and I are going to work in the healthcare profession.
Hmm.
You need that. But you've got to get it first. You can't expect that from your kids or your employees if you're not embodying that.
That's very valuable. And speaking of
Yeah.
values, you and Ivan Meisner talk about
Yeah.
values a lot. I had him
Yeah.
on my
Hmm.
show, and
I know. I saw the podcast. It
he
was great. Yeah.
yeah, he mentioned a lot about how important values are,
Sure.
and to live by them. And if you don't have
Yes.
them, you got to start writing down what those values
Yeah.
are, your personal values, professional values. I mean, all of
Sure.
it, right?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
that's a really good point what you said. Now, a few more questions to wrap up.
Okay.
Who
Okay.
is your ideal client and how can they get in contact with you?
Well, my ideal client is going to sound very broad, and it is. My ideal client is anybody who knows that they could be that they're not yet performing up to their potential. My tagline is "Be your best,"
Mm,
right? So anyone who knows, senses, feels, or has the experience, I'm not performing up to my potential. Now that doesn't mean necessarily making lots of money, but it could even mean fulfillment, right?
right.
Satisfaction, a sense of purpose, all of that. Those are my ideal clients. Somebody, because here's the deal from me: be your best means your best is already there. It's
Mm,
already intact. It's there. The issue for us humans is that we have and you referenced this before, we have so many habits and experiences and traumas and everything that we get caught in this web,
right.
if not jungle, of ideas and negative emotions and all that. And this, it's like imagine the sun is always behind the clouds, but mostly we're living in the clouds, not in the sun.
Right.
So my ideal client is somebody who goes, it's got to be better than this. And I say, definitely, let's go for it. Right.
So it's
And then,
someone who has a growth mindset and has
yeah,
that
nice.
character that's hungry to change.
God, I got to hire you for my marketing.
That is my
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. Well, it's you say in it. Yeah, of course I know that, and you've been so super helpful to me. I just want to do a shout out to you right now. You've really
Sure,
been helpful
sure.
to me. I appreciate how sturdy, steady and sturdy you are, and helpful that you are. I mean, generously and helpful to me. Um, but I want to just say something about mindset, okay? Because I think there's that shrinks a little bit. It's really your spirit that's driving you. Your
Mm,
mind is one part of body, mind, and spirit, but we have so not wanted to look at the spirit because we conflate it with religion. Nothing wrong with religion, but
mhm.
spirit is what drives us. It's your fire. So people who have the spirit of, it's not, I'm not firing up the way I know I
Mm,
could or I want to. It's not burning as bright as it could be. I know there's more there.
yeah.
That's the ideal client. So it could be a high school student. It could be an athlete, soccer player. It could be a CEO. I mean, it could be a dentist. It's true for all of us. I was on a business show recently, and we were talking about this, and I said part of what I do is I've been given a gift to recognize what's really there that wants
Mhm.
to come forward, and so that's one part of what I do. But the other part is to get dissolve the blocks, right? To dissolve what's interfering between you and being right out there.
Mm.
So this guy called me, well, you're an interference specialist. I thought, oh, that's great. I love that. I'm an interference specialist. Let's get all this out of the way so the sun can shine, right? Get the clouds moving.
Right.
That's it. How can people get in touch with me? Okay.
What?
So,
So one thing I want to
yeah,
talk about is
go
you
for it.
mentioned
Go for it.
spirit. So,
Yeah.
and tell me if this is the right definition or term or
Okay.
whatever, the way
Yeah.
I'm explaining this.
Yes.
So spirit is like passion, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I want
Yes.
that passion.
Correct.
I want that fire back.
Right.
Right.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if you meant
Yeah.
something different than that.
No, I mean that, but I do want to take it one step forward, because in the model, you want to be calm in the body, confident in the mind, and focused in the spirit. So what does that mean, focused in the spirit? Well, just having passion is wonderful, but if it's not focused,
Mm,
it's just fire, right?
right.
Focus
Right.
means having a goal and taking actions that get you to the goal. So your spirit gets focused when you have a goal, and then you're taking actions that get you to the goal. So part of what I do with people is, let's really clarify what your goal is. And really, is that your goal? Is that your predecessor's goal? Whose goal is that? That's one. The
That's
second
good.
is, do you stay on track? Do you stay on track? Most of us are like mega distracted.
Mm,
Mega, right? All the devices, the screens, the whole thing. The people who are highly successful, look at every Olympic athlete, stay on track.
right.
They don't get distracted. Okay, so part of
It's
what I
true.
do is I train people to recognize, even when they start getting distracted, get back on track.
It's very disciplined. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Sure.
Very disciplined.
Yeah.
Now, calm, confident, and focused. That's what
Dude,
we're
you got
from
it.
Dr. B. Now,
You
last
got it.
question. Any
Yes.
advice or tips for our listeners before we close out?
Well, the biggest advice, I don't like tips because it, I think we tip service people, and I am a service person too, but you know what I mean. I think that it's a practice. It's not a tip, it's a practice. And the most ancient time proven practice is to keep in touch with your breath.
Hmm.
Why? Because the breath is the single bodily function that's under our conscious control, because we don't know where it's coming from, but we receive it and we send it, and therefore we're connected. And the breath always brings you back to the present. So when you're feeling stressed, you should definitely immediately go, you know what? I must be disconnecting in my breath. 99% of that times will be true. Every time you worry about something,
Hmm.
if you just at that moment you tune into your breath, you're going to see you either stop breathing, or you breathing was shallow or irregular. Get back into the breath. That's, people get that. I mean, the yogis and all the people from all the Eastern arts of meditation have been telling us this for thousands of years, when we still haven't gotten it.
We still need practicals, and we still need reminders, right?
Well, we do need reminders. We do. We all need reminders, because the way we've constructed the world, it so pulls us out of ourselves.
Yeah,
We need to come back, come back, come back. So,
absolutely.
yeah,
Well, Dr. B, you're awesome. Thank you for your time.
you're welcome. But then I didn't answer the question: how do people get in touch with
Yes, how do they get in touch with you?
me? Thank
Plug it.
you. Just meditate on Dr. B, and then I'll get no. So I would really welcome anybody. First, go to my website, which is DRB, the letter B, YOUR best, DRB your best, Dr. B your best.com. There you'll see all kinds of stuff, including a lot of free stuff about performance and just a whole bunch of materials and all about me. I'm happy to offer anybody a 20-minute complimentary phone consultation. And what that means is that I get on the phone, you tell me what's going on, and I will ask you a few questions, and you can ask me questions about how I work. And every single time that 20-minute conversation will either end up, let's fix a time for starting to get going, or you know what, this doesn't quite sound right for me, or I need some time. So I really offer that to anybody. I welcome those calls. We can definitely get into it.
Nice.
So that's it. Yeah, I have a blog post. I have an ongoing blog on Psychology Today website. So if you go there, you can look me up there. I've written a few books, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Nice.
So, Jesus, thank you so much for having me today. It's really great to talk to you.
My pleasure, and it's great to
Yeah.
see you as well. And you have a great rest of the day. All right, Dr. B.
You have, Jesus, you have a great rest of your life. How's that?
I will take that and do it.
Okay. Go for it. See you later. Thank you.
Bye.